You ever seen someone and immediately knew that you hated them? A deep, visceral hate, right down to their core. And you don't even know them, but you just know they're terrible, selfish, egocentric, narcissistic monsters. I just found out about Ben and Jennifer Fowler, and I hate them. This story takes place in Milford, New Hampshire. It's an old New England quarry town. They have a loud horn that sounds every day at 11:45. It was used to tell the workers when it was lunchtime. The horn has been in service for 129 years, with a few periods here and there for maintenance and things like that. But it's basically been blasting the horn sound consistently for 129 years. There's a funny thing about historical New England towns. They have history, and it's an important part of the culture of a small town like this. Ben and Jennifer Fowler have petitioned the town to stop the horn forever because their 12-year-old son doesn't like it. Now, he has an abnormal brain. He's somewhere on the autism spectrum, and every time he hears the sound, he goes into a full-on panic mode with violent outbursts. I gotta tell you, that sucks. That's no fun. But she's demanding the entire town bend to her will and stop a tradition that was started in 1894 for one child. Now, the Fowler family has deep roots to the community. They were one of the founding families, and the person who created the horn was a great-great-grandfather. No, man, I'm just kidding. The Fowlers moved there in 2015. They have no roots in the community. They just basically arrived a few years ago. Jen Fowler is a lunch lady at the elementary school, and Ben is a sports coach at the high school. These may or may not be important jobs, but the town will get along just fine if they're replaced. You can always tell when someone has a weak argument when they have a sad child make the case for them. In this instance, they had little Lucas make a handwritten note to the fire chief. Dear Fire Chief, my name is Lucas Fowler. I'm 11 years old. I am autistic. The foghorn bothers me. I feel like the world will explode, so please get rid of the foghorn or the world will explode. Heart, Lucas. There's nothing wrong with having the child write a letter to the fire chief asking for the horn to be turned off. But when the parents take pictures of the letter and show it around as a token of how much pain their child is in, that gets a little too manipulative for my taste. It just seems cheap and staged. I might be too cynical on this one, but I don't like it. So who's the bad guy here? Are the parents wrong for demanding that everyone else change their history just for one child? Or is everyone else wrong because making a sacrifice is the right thing to do, even if it helps only one person? Now, this is how the slippery slope starts. If the town caves and erases their history, the next thing you get is another person who's mad about that old covered bridge. It only lets one car pass at a time. We need to tear that down, tear that old relic, and put up a modern bridge so I can get to work 30 seconds quicker. And another piece of history is gone. Just like that. And maybe it'll be something else. I mean, I never thought they'd be tearing down statues of Thomas Jefferson, but that happened. So let's take a look at this from a different direction. And here's why I think the parents are evil and they don't care about their child at all. Let's say that's not autism. Let's pretend it's an allergy and he's allergic to mosquitoes and they live in Florida. If they cared about their child, they would move somewhere like North Texas in the desert where it's really dry, no mosquitoes. I mean, she can be a lunch lady at any school anywhere. It's not a specialized job. Now, same situation back in New Hampshire. They knew when they moved to that town they had a large horn. And they knew that it went off every day. Now, since they moved there in 2015, they let this kid suffer for 7 years. If it was as bad as they're saying, it must have been absolute torture. But they didn't move. They waited until the horn was turned off for the summer for maintenance. and then they demanded it never be turned back on. It's my opinion that they tortured their child for most of his life because they didn't want to move. Now, even if they moved 10 miles away, they could keep their non-specialized jobs, and that would have been the compassionate thing to do. But no, they didn't do anything to help their child, who literally went into a violent panic attack every day at 11:45. And wait a minute, if both parents were working school jobs, who did they leave the child with to handle these violent panic attacks? Daycare? Social worker? It seems like they passed the problem to someone else year after year. Now this is why I think they're monsters. It has nothing to do with the giant horn. They're just horrible to their own child, not willing to make any sacrifices to make his life better. So will they move? No, I doubt they'll move. Instead, they'll live in a place where at this point at least half of the town will resent them. Some might hate them as much as I do. All of that anger and animosity. Oh, that'll be great for an autistic child. You see, they don't care about him at all. They're narcissists. So what do you think? What would you do to protect your child? Would you turn an entire town against you? Would you want to live in a place that doesn't even want you there? Drop a comment below. Let me know if you heard this story anywhere else. I'm trying to find stories that are underreported, bring you the good stuff. I got another video coming later, so I'll see you soon.